is so confusing. Yeah, welcome to Nordic Culture Lecture. I am Mikko, and welcome here to I have Nordic Culture Lecture. I am Mikko,
Yeah,
and
I'm
welcome here.
Matias.
I have.
Hi.
I can hear myself. Sorry, I had like the stream open. Yeah, Sorry. Yeah, I'm Mikko, and here I have Matias Bangkok from Germany. Lifetime.
I
Yeah, this is your first NGD lecture, I believe.
yeah, this is the first lecture I hold. Actually, I never really done a lecture like this online and with a prepared file and everything. So this is the first, but
Yeah.
I came prepared. So let's see.
Yeah. So what is the topic today?
So I was thinking, what is something that I can give to the students, which is something that I am good at. So I was thinking, well, Tsumego maybe, but not really. I guess there are many others that are much better at that. So I was thinking I will do a lecture on tenuki because this is a field that I believe is not so often talked about and not talked about enough. Like, I think it is a very important concept in Go to think about tenuki all the time. And yeah, that's why I thought I will hold a lecture on that, and especially when can we tenuki and why should we tenuki at all.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start with the why I think it is so important. I mean, I see many games of some Q players, especially and lower Q players. I guess you've also seen it. They always play in the local area, and then they just answer there all the time. And then when they don't know what to do anymore, they play somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
And so I believe to get stronger, you have to often think about tenuki. You have to consider it almost all the time, because often you just play where your opponent played just because you have just because he played there. It's like imagine in the real world you have a conversation and somebody asks you something and you always reply and you always talk about the same topic always when you meet each other. That is not really natural, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just has to be, okay, well, we've talked about that, so now let's talk about another topic. And on Go, it's the same. And I think because oftentimes the local area is just big at the moment because there were some centi-moves and otherwise maybe a group can be captured. But if that is not the case, usually the board is very wide. So the biggest area on the board is very often not the local area where you were playing at before. Yeah. So you have to consider it very often. And if you will start considering tenuki more often, I think your game becomes more flexible and more broad. Like you will start realizing, oh wow, there are so many options in Go. Go is even much more complicated than I have expected. I mean, as we get stronger, we just realize how complicated this game is, and we get more and more frustrated about all the things there are to learn. But that's also a beautiful thing. And when you start thinking about tenuki all the time, I think also your opening will get much more interesting. Because, for example, if I show on the board something like this, already here, many people will automatically play here, but you can just play somewhere else. And then the opponent plays another move, and imagine this will be an opening. White is so happy.
Yeah. I guess that's like the recency fallacy a little bit also, like that you are stuck too much to the thing that you have like just played, and you're like kind of like married to the stones that you play.
So for today's lecture, I have basically prepared many situations that were all situations that happened in my own games over the recent years. I guess there are some older ones, but also some very recent ones. And we will talk about the situation, and then my question to the viewers is should we tenuki, should we not tenuki, or can we do both? So basically it is like tenuki yes, no, or maybe. So when we have the situation, I want the viewers to look at it and think, what should I do here? Should I tenuki, should I not, or can I do both? And this is basically something we have to keep in mind all the time if we think about playing, because there is no sense in answering when you should actually tenuki. So if you have this in mind clearly all the time, you will start playing better, I think.
Oh, we got raid by Night Force. Night. How do you say your name? 25. Welcome. We have just started. You are just going to the right time here. So we are just starting on the topic tenuki, when and why. This is NGD lecture. So nowadays the Nordic cultures lectures are open for everyone. So in case you're interested, stay on this lecture and maybe check out the NGD later to join also to league games and Jeff's coaching and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess someone can also link the because at the moment I don't have my stream deck set up for NGD, so maybe someone can link the Nordic Gods page also there. So for the raiders who are not familiar with Nordic Gods, can have the link. But yeah, welcome everyone.
All right. So I've prepared the first situation. This is actually a game I played very recently against Jeff, another teacher of the Nordic Go Dojo, who is also my teacher. And yeah, what do we see here on this board?
So it's kind of like a weak group for white, or at least there's some things to consider there when black is getting stronger on outside. But
yeah, so right, I marked the right side group.
Yeah.
And so there's an invasion point at 1, which will steal away white space, or we have to at least try to read it and look at it. But then also there is the moyo that white has on the right side that is not really clear yet. So this is a classic board situation where black has a lot of cash and white has the potential. And in this kind of game, white has to try to play fast and to create the moyo. So if we think about here, the question is, can we tenuki, should we tenuki, or shouldn't we tenuki?
Yeah.
So yes, no, or maybe. So you should try to get your answers clear in your head. And I will start talking about what happens when white doesn't play. So what would be the biggest move? I believe if white tenukis, it will be this jump. And then we should look at what black can do. So black enters. If we want to play like this and try to capture black, it will get really messy. This is a relatively common invasion shape, right? We see this
indeed
relatively often. So it can come to something like this if white really wants to cut it off. But here black can cut and go down. And if white wants to split, we have a problem on the outside, which is like this. And white is actually in big trouble, or maybe not like this, but let me read a bit here. Okay, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
if you do that one, then white has an Atari there also. But
yeah. So, but if like this already,
can you play something on like prepare on that like S6 area or something? Is that possible? Also threaten the four
yeah, that's
stones.
right. Because also at this point, white has 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3, and
Yeah.
black can basically play on the inside and make some liberty, and the outside will have big trouble. So it will be something like this.
Right.
Then black can threaten to capture the stone in the geta. So it will be something like this. And
Yeah,
I
it doesn't
mean,
look good for white.
I didn't read this in the game, but I came kind of like this far, and I had a feeling that something will go wrong here, especially when I play against Jeff. So
Yeah. Indeed.
I guess this is not the way for white to answer, but this is the strongest resistance, so this is something we should think about first.
Yeah.
But it seems like white has to be a bit pessimistic here in a way, or realistic actually. So it will come to something like this.
Yeah.
So black gets the profit, but white can play another move.
Yeah, and we have now tenuki also, in case this happens. So you have to remember that one also.
Right. So we have to look at, if we think about tenuki, we have to look at, okay, the consequences like this, which is locally pretty nice for black, but you should never forget that you got this huge move, which broadens the whole moyo and makes everything as one piece.
Yeah.
And if we answer locally, I guess we would have to play. Well, where would you play actually?
Yeah, chat can probably answer us. Where would you play locally? Any ideas?
You don't want to play one yourself. That's a bit slow.
That doesn't look good. We have 2 answers for P9.
P9, yeah, that's, I guess, the relatively normal move, right? So on this situation, I'd say I would call this a maybe situation. Like, you can do both. But in the game, as I like to play tenuki, played this jump.
Yeah.
And it turned out exactly like this.
Right.
And now I played a relatively greedy move, but let's say I played the good move. And like this, everything is fine. White has to take care of the moyo, black will invade, but white got the connection. And so that's why I chose to play here.
Then we have like Q8 is a local AI shape according to everybody.
Yes. Q8 is also nice because if we look at this one, we still have to think about what actually happens.
Yeah, still a problem.
It is not directly working maybe, but it is a future problem. But so they're both considerable. Also, when
Q11 also
yes,
one
Q11.
answer. Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit more active way, I guess.
Yes, this is actually, I like this move because if it happens like this, maybe you already reinforced enough, so you can play the big move next.
Yeah.
So this is also something you have to keep in mind. When you want to tenuki, but the group is not really strong enough yet, you can try to strengthen the group in Sente, like we did here with Q11, and then tenuki.
Right.
But we also have to consider that these exchanges on the right were locally not so bad for black. He got everything, became more solid. So that's why I think here it is good to directly tenuki, but yeah.
Antti wants to play J18 because it's double center.
Yes, I guess that's
off topic a little bit, but yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that's also what the bot wanted to do.
Right, yeah.
But who would know that black would actually push here on the second line? Okay, let's get to the next situation. Where can I find it? Should be this one. So all these games bring back so many memories. So here. This is a bit of a different question because here it's not about weak groups. This is more about what is big and what is small.
Right.
So white has just played this f2. Before that, he took this exchange.
Yeah, okay. A little bit of confusion from chat. What was the conclusion? Should you tenuki or not in the previous one?
The conclusion on that one was maybe. So I guess that is a bit unsatisfying. I agree. There will be clearer situations. But the conclusion on that one is maybe, because in Go there is always so many options. Like it is always like that. It is very hard to say something very clearly. So it also depends on your style.
But yeah, it would be very sad, like if it's like always one way.
Yeah,
I mean that makes Go a good game that you have options.
Isn't that the nice thing about Go? I mean,
yeah.
So, but it is only a maybe if you know the reasons. So, yeah, but this situation I believe is clearer. So white has just played f2, and I want you guys to imagine that f2 was not the last move, because many people will now directly just say, okay, I will answer here because it is big, and otherwise white will destroy my whole bottom side. But isn't the widest area on the board the whole right side?
Yeah.
It is very broad, and also the top is not so interesting, but there's also this left side from white that can become big. So imagine the last move that was played was maybe
like connection P14 or something.
Yes, this is what I imagine. The opponent just connected here. Many people will directly play on the right side because it seems okay. White has played there on the right, building some influence, so he plans to destroy my right side. So they will play here. And this is actually the move that I played in the game here. And then white can maybe enter here, but it is eventually just some points. Black can still block here and make a relatively big framework. And imagine if black would have answered, then white will get the first move on the right, and he can actually go pretty deep. He can maybe start from here. Imagine something like this can happen.
Yeah.
Then white is pretty happy. Or, well, maybe the game is still fine for black, but that's also one reason why you should consider tenuki often. It is because Go is not only a game about what's right or wrong, it is also a game about competition and about annoying the opponent, even though it is not really the Japanese spirit, but it is kind of true that, I mean, even the Japanese professionals are so annoying. When I play against Antti, sometimes I'm so annoyed by his moves.
Yeah.
So when your opponent says, okay, can I get you to answer here and make my shape perfect here on the bottom? You should often consider, no, I want to do my own thing. So yeah, that's this situation.
Annoying and bullying is the essence of Go. Yeah, any questions? There's a comment on chat like annoying and bullying is the essence of Go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So yeah, if you disagree, I'm happily ready to discuss. I haven't actually checked these situations. I guess some of them I know the lila percentages maybe because they are my own games and I usually check them. But for example, this game I have played more than a year ago already. So I might be wrong on some situations, but these are just my opinions, and I'm trying to get the concept clear.
There's a question. What do you think about R13, R14 here?
This is also a move that you can consider playing. It is pretty big. Because if white plays here, you will have to maybe answer. So yeah, it is also something you can consider, but I believe that the broad area is the right side. So this also works for the right, but imagine you play here and then the opponent plays, as we said before, he can still easily destroy the right. But I don't think that this move will be any big percentage drop, let's say.
Yeah.
For example, if white blocks, you can also consider, can I maybe tenuki this and play here? You should read, of course. This is not so easy, but as I see it, well, white has to pull back here, then black can capture. And now he plays like this. So the group is alive like this, because if white destroys this eye, we do this, and so it's Miyai, right?
Right.
So the top right side, it looks so sad for black, but aren't we so happy that we got 1 and 2?
Yeah.
So that's always something you should consider. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the next one. Here, is it here, this game? All right, we are here. So white has just played this flexible move. And this is actually a similar situation that we just had on the top right corner. So on here it is also a question. If white plays next, or let's say black tenuki, so what would be a move here? Black can soon block here. And then if black tenukis again, white will maybe block another time, and black has to live small in the corner.
Yeah.
But black, especially in this case, can exchange some moves, maybe even in center, because white has weaknesses. So if we imagine this, black is actually pretty happy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think? Is this a yes, no, or a maybe?
It's interesting, the idea that like what was the last move, because like AI, for example, doesn't know kind of like what is the last move.
Yeah,
AI,
right.
AI just takes the like board position and plays somewhere where is the biggest or like the most important. So like when we think about like that the AI tenuki is a lot, AI actually doesn't know tenuki. AI just plays.
He doesn't even know this term, right? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get across here.
So yeah, chat, is this yes, no, maybe tenuki?
I mean, also something that is important to realize if this is a situation, if we should tenuki or not, is how big is the next move. If you imagine on this board position there is an Atari of 50 stones, of course you will directly answer there. Yeah. So but if it is like on this board, of course a move on the left side is big, but we don't really know how big it is. If white plays another move, for example, if black answers, maybe it would be this jump. If white plays another move, black can still enter. So the value in the opening of the moves is very unclear, but we should trust in the logic that if you play a move, of course it will have some worth, especially when it is in such a wide area. But yeah, that makes this question a bit harder, because this move is big because if white blocks here, white will make an influence towards the whole bottom.
Yeah.
So if we imagine like this, white can maybe block, maybe black wants to answer, we don't know. And then it can come to something like this, and white can make a big framework at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I'd say this is definitely a maybe, because it is in the opening, there is so much possibilities. In the game, I was black, I answered here, but on another day, I might have played tenuki here.
Oh, and this is N4 looks delicious.
Yeah, N4. That is also something that I think I have considered. Yeah, this is interesting. Maybe black has to... If white plays like this, black is not too unhappy, but maybe white can do it like this, because black is on the third line and white is creating an influence towards the top. So here there are many moves that you can consider. Also later, actually, on this shape, white didn't play here. I played this weird looking move to try and attack.
Also N3 instead of O3?
N3.
Like in the previous one.
Yeah. Here.
Yeah, like N4, and then when white connected at the suggested N3.
N4 and one more. Right. Yes.
Yeah, this one. So N3. So not to give like M4.
Yeah, that's right. But this one will give something else. Like this one will give the possibility of a cut. So if like this, well, maybe we cannot do it directly because there is a cut. But imagine next white can cut here. And then get this hane. So but yeah, this N3 is definitely considerable. That's why I even believe on this one, maybe white will play here.
Oh, interesting.
And try to get the outside. If black captures like this, play like this one. So this one I think is not so great for black. So maybe black will just go down, which will come to something similar.
Then looks like black can tenuki now. Well,
yeah.
Yeah, well, surely if he could like before also, but yeah.
Definitely should be considered.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, this situation, it is not very clear. I guess we will come to some more clear ones soon.
Right.
This situation happened later in this game. If you want to see a bit how it went, white played at the top and black got sente, so I played something like this. And white played very aggressively here. He entered the corner and then even played the hane and connect. And now it is this question. So here we actually have some kind of a weak group involved for black, which is the market group. But it is not very weak, because if I play somewhere else, white can maybe get the shoulder hit and then something like this and this connection. But even this is not sente anymore, right, on the group, because black can still turn here. So maybe this one will be sente. So the group is not super weak. And yeah, so, but we also don't like being harassed like that, right, on L3.
Yeah.
So, but of course it is always an option, because the left side is still very wide. But we should consider, what if black answers, which move will he play?
Yeah. That is a question for you, chat, again.
Yeah.
So what to play here if you answer? Don't like the leaving Aji. Can't read out. So tenuki. I not tenuki? Yeah, okay. Well, if you don't tenuki, then what do we play here? S5? Well, S5 is something that I don't know if you want to play, because then also if white connects like R4, then it creates like a well, it hurts the black group heavily, because white can like push an Atari and
yeah. So if you play this exchange, you definitely have to spend another move now.
yeah.
Otherwise, the group will be too weak. If you don't play,
Yeah.
It will look like this.
Yeah.
And then white can really harass it. So if you play, you should directly play on the bottom side somewhere. So you can pick your favorite. If you play this one, maybe it is a bit far. There is still the gap, so you might have to add another move. So maybe it is good to directly play.
Yeah, there's a K4 or J4. K4 or J3. J3
Yeah.
like you showed, yeah.
Also J4 is considerable, but this shape is a bit
yeah, it was
strange.
Yeah, it was K4 and J3.
When white plays here, it is weird.
L5?
L5, okay, yeah. With some of an offensive plan, because also white's group is not alive yet. If black gets S5, the whole group has locally just one eye. So yeah, this one can also be considered, but it is on the 5th line, so white will be able to play some moves from here, and if black has to connect like this, then we're not so happy. So here it is better to be a bit patient. That's why actually I like this K4 as well.
Yeah.
And on this one, I, as someone that likes to tenuki a little bit too much sometimes,
yeah,
I played tenuki here, which I believe is all right, but my opponent directly pressed me down here.
Right.
And already these exchanges are something good for white, because black played on the 3rd and 4th line, and white other way around. White played on the 3rd and 4th, and black played some small moves basically. And even if white just answers normally, maybe this is not so great for black as I would have expected. Also, this one can be done, and this center is also annoying. So yeah, this is not a very clear case, but because black is not that weak. But in general, on this board, this J3 is not a very small move. It is just a relatively normal move on the side. So here it is just the case that you should play here, because the other moves are not extremely special. Like, there is no clear biggest move here.
Yeah.
Because we're still relatively early in the game, lots of things can happen. So it is good to solidify your groups in the beginning.
Yeah, but points come later. Groups go first, like Jeff said.
That's the thing I hear so many times.
Yeah.
Well, I used to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. The next situation, what's this? Right. So we're in German Championship now. Here. This is the board situation. Black has played H3.
Oh, and they had something on the previous one, I guess. C6 and C3 are regular opening moves. J3 is a move that makes some points and stabilizes a group that's a high priority. Yeah, like the answering that's just at the third line J3 there in the previous one. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. So on this situation, we have this black move, which is kind of aiming at creating the bottom side, which is the widest area, but also has some offensive plan, right? There is the market stones that are weak, and there's the group at 1.
Yeah.
So when there are 2 weak groups involved, it can be risky to tenuki, but also you have to admit that attacking is very hard. If white plays somewhere else, what can black do? That is something you have to consider. So black can, I guess, steal the base from here, but then white can maybe still escape around here and try to connect the weak bits.
Yeah.
So all black got eventually was the B3, which is some points, but in the opening and the early mid game, we don't want to consider too much about points, but about the wide areas, which is here at the bottom. Black wants to create a big framework.
Yeah, now H3 looks like a little bit too close after white strengthens those groups. So
yes, that's true. White will easily be able to invade at the bottom. Yeah. So another idea is to cut and then hope, or well, white should probably answer in the corner. If not, black can easily harass from this side and will become very small. Even though white might be able to survive, black will get very strong on the outside.
Yeah.
So this already seems like a better plan for black. White will answer, but now black needs to have a clear way on how to attack the group that we had as 1 earlier. So, and as attacking is very hard, especially in such a broad area where everything is so unclear and there's a lot of space.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, in theory, this should be good for black, but it is not very easy to actually attack this.
Yeah, now it's only one problem because white got time to fix the one. So like, yeah, usually if you have just one problem, it's not a big problem.
But if we consider this, white's move at R8 was nothing too special. So black is actually creating an influence towards the bottom. And if we imagine white has to play some very slow moves here, black can soon create a big moyo actually.
Yeah.
So if we tenuki as white, we have to keep this in mind and maybe directly enter the bottom. Something like this can be done. And then some kind of a pincer.
Right, so this also strengthens those groups a little bit because it weakens the H3.
Yes, right. Yeah. So if this still happens and black tries to build the moyo, we are already in there.
Right. Just have to be there also alive, but I guess that's not the big problem.
Yes. But this situation, my opponent didn't answer, and I made the mistake to play B3.
Right. Yeah.
White connected, and I was thinking, okay, well, I will let white connect in relatively small points like this, and then still make the bottom. But my opponent invaded here, and things got a little messy.
Yeah.
So I think I should have stick to this idea.
Yeah.
Even though at first it might seem I give some points because I give the possibility for white to naturally play b4, which is a big move.
Right.
But we shouldn't consider too much about points. We always say this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this attack, actually, black has nothing to lose. And he can build a big area at the bottom. Yeah. So this one, to me, actually is a relatively clear no. White should answer, because if white answers, black still has to play another move and everything is safe. And then we can keep playing the big moves. White will anyway probably get to play this move if he really wants it.
Yeah, so h3 and f5 exchange is not bad for white.
Yeah. That's true. Or white could also directly take the points here, or no, it is this one. Yeah. But it is probably better to keep the groups connected.
Right, yeah, and it kind of like laughs at the h3 here. Like it looks like black needs really the next move there now.
Yes, and this kind of bottom side is actually not very happy. White can just play from the outside, and there are so many invasion points like k3. I will mark them all. Here.
Yeah, full of holes.
Here, here, here. So black, if he really wants it, he needs maybe 2 more moves. So white could be more patient, but if it gets really big, if the moyo gets really big, then the invasion can be more risky, even though there are still invasion points.
Right.
Okay, so that was this example. Let's see what is next. This game looks familiar. This is the game I played against Oscar in the exhibition match for the last lecture. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So here we had some weird fighting earlier. He found a good move here, and I didn't really manage it that well.
Right.
And we have this situation. So 1 and 2 are both groups, at least. How weak they are, it is not really easy to define, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have 2 eyes yet, and so they can potentially become weak, but still the bottom area is relatively big if we play a move here. So a move around, well, where would you actually play if you would play a tenuki move? What is the biggest to you guys?
Yeah.
We have the widest area, if we just look at it from afar, it is the bottom. So it should probably be a move around there. Also, there is the right side, which is this one, because if black doesn't play there, which happened later in the game, white can harass black a bit here. So that is also something not small.
Okay, so we have n4 and f4.
N4, yes. I will mark them. N4. F4 is definitely big, yes.
Right.
Okay, so that's for the
K4.
K4 is optimistic. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's about the tenuki part. But where would you play if you would play another move for the center? Either or offensive or defensive.
Yeah. So now as black moved the groups, what is?
Well, maybe someone still remembers the move I played.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, so.
Yeah.
K12.
Which was it?
K12.
Yes, somebody has a good memory. So that is the local move. On the bottom three, we can discuss which one is the biggest. I think I prefer B the most because it has some offensive idea behind it, and it prevents white from forcing there. But on this board, I think we have to add another move because when there are two weak groups fighting in the center, it is very often the case that that is the hot spot. You have to just play there, even though things are not very clear yet. Nobody really knows what happens if black plays another move. What's white's great next move? It will probably be this Kema.
Yeah.
And black is not really that weak yet. Black will not die or anything. But if black plays somewhere else again, white can maybe play from here. And it will start getting pretty weak.
Yeah.
And also what this move in the center for white does is it strengthens white's group. And actually it cuts off this stone as well. So white builds some influence.
Yeah.
And when we have groups in the center, it is also often a question on, will this group become a weak group or will it become an influence? So when there is a discussion on that and there are two groups fighting against each other, we should try to make our groups the influence. So like this, black is starting to have this move as an influence towards the right and the center. And if white doesn't play another move here, which I think he didn't eventually, I think white pushed here once and then entered here. Now black can start thinking about how to maybe attack the center group. But you also see that Oscar didn't play for the center because the next move for white here seems a bit slow. But it would also be considerable, but white chose to tenuki here because it is not easy for black to actually attack it.
Yeah.
So we have to look at weak groups as how will he actually attack it? How will my opponent actually attack it? And if you don't find a clear way, then you should consider tenuki. But on this one, it is somehow a special case because I also didn't find a clear way on how to attack it, but I know that my move there has a big value for influence and for strength.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is also a bit unsatisfying again. We have some rule which is if we don't know how to attack, maybe we can consider tenuki, but sometimes it is not the case, and this is one of them. And it is especially the case because white also has a weak group. If it would only be black's weak group, then, well, I might consider tenuki a bit more, but here it is also about white, so that's why.
Yeah, I guess many people know, like most of the players would know that where to play if you have like two players have big moyo, so you have to play like on the line of the moyos, so that like reduce the opponent's moyo and increase your own. But in group wise, I don't know like if like that many people know that like if you have two weak groups, usually the hotspot, like you said, the hotspot is there, like that should be the area that your eyes go directly.
And it is often some jump. I mean, who tells me that this move is better than this move? This is just something I know, or maybe this move is better. Who knows? This is just something you create from your experience and from your feeling, and this is all about shape. The center fights are all about shape, and that's how I came up with this move. It has some weakness maybe around here, but I can force moves at the top, and then the shape is a bit better like this. That's what I read, at least. But yeah, that's not really the topic. The shape topic is also very huge, but let's not go into that today. So next one is my very famous tenuki game. This is a game I played recently, and in this game on that day I really had the mood of tenukiing everything.
Right.
But yeah, let's look at the situations. Maybe we can start even a bit earlier, I think. Here already. So this is the opening. This is just an example of how often you can just tenuki in the opening. The opponent plays this shoulder hit, which often you feel like you want to directly answer.
Right.
But on this day, I felt like, no, I want to enter it in the corner. So it went like this. I got the corner and destroyed the meaning of this move is now a little less. So now black can get this move, but I can still play somewhere else. So this is just an example on how your game can become more interesting and more flexible in the opening.
Yeah.
So this is still this game. And then I started to invade here, and my opponent played this move. So here I thought for very long about my local move, and I didn't really find anything perfect, so I was not happy. But what would you guys play if you want to play locally? Do you have any ideas? Because I mean, there is eventually this black and white group that are kind of weak. So it would be nice to do something around here.
Yeah, it's a white move. Choose your poison.
There's also maybe something to read here. So you can also not read and play something a bit more, flexible, I guess. But you should also read here. So
yeah, so we have some options. O6 and L4 are
6
now in
and
chat.
L4 is a nice move. It strengthens the group. So maybe this is also something that happened later. But yeah, it's not really clear on how to continue here. If you play another move, it might be a bit slow. The shape is not the best. So maybe you want to play like this. This is an option. So here, this move is definitely considerable, but it has some kind of problem, which is this cut. If white plays here, black can go through here now and cut this stone off.
Yeah.
So the corner is dead.
Right.
All of a sudden. So after this one, you have to Atari first, and then black will cut like this, and now the group is cut off. This is what I read in the game, and I didn't like it. Lila tells me I should still do this and now fight, but I didn't get to this conclusion, so I didn't find any very happy variations. So what I did, I was to just play somewhere else.
And I guess there's no move around like sixth line there, like O6 or P6 or anything like that either.
Yeah, that's also something that I considered, but those moves just feel like they're not really achieving anything clear.
Yeah, the shape is still broken anyway, so
Here my challenge to my opponent was, okay, I will tenuki, I take the cash at the top left already, and now it is your responsibility to attack this group. And I know that there is L4 that I can do, and I can do many things. I'm already in the center, so that's why I chose to tenuki.
Yeah.
But that's not the first time in this game. So
yeah, this was also in stream, like chat mentioned. In case you are interested to see, like the stream can be found at least in YouTube. I don't remember how long ago this was, but like
yes,
on my and Jeff's Friday streams, we talked about this game also.
Yeah, he really liked this game.
Yeah.
So then my opponent cut me like this and played here. And now here again I can answer and I can directly play something. But then I thought, how many moves did Black invest already? Black already invested this one and this one, and I got one move already. And so that means that the bottom side, I'm not really expected to get a very good result.
Right. Yeah.
But Black is actually very low because he has this influence here and he is playing a move on the third line with this L3. So if Black just captures the two stones at N3 and O3, it is actually not so special. So here I chose to tenuki once again.
Right.
This is something on this board probably it is not necessarily the best to tenuki, but it works heavily against my opponent's desire to do something to kill me and to create some complication here. So tenuki is actually also a way to avoid complications sometimes. Often you cannot avoid them, but in this case, I believe that it was a very easy way to avoid it. Because if Black plays another move, I will just play somewhere else again and be happy. So that's something you should consider. If you can actually give up a group, then you can tenuki.
Would have thought about K4? You mean like for white?
For the problem with this move is Black will not play from below. Black will actually cut this one and create another group. But, well, maybe this can be considered. But yeah, this is working a bit against the rest of the stones.
Right.
So later in this game, we come to this situation. So Black also didn't want to add a move at the bottom because he realized actually it is maybe a bit small. So White played this shoulder hit, I played it, and Black played here. So now we come to this situation.
Right.
Should we tenuki here or should we answer another move like this one?
Yeah, question time. Tenuki or not to tenuki? That's a question. And yeah, tenuki where if you tenuki, I guess. Yeah.
So you have some options here. The widest area on this board is actually the left side, but there is the whole Black center that is starting to get really big. So you don't want to make it too big. So if you play, you can also think about now activating these stones or playing Yeah, something for the center, like. But yeah, it is not easy to find a specific move. So in this case, I think there's the option to move these stones to answer here or to play on the left.
Right. I guess we have a few maybe answers, and
Uh-huh.
one one would at least like answer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
most
the
likely
thing about
maybe.
Black's move is I was a bit confused because he didn't play this one. This one directly creates the cut.
Yeah.
So White wants to answer, but with this move that Black played, if White doesn't play and Black pushes, White doesn't have to block.
Right.
White can jump actually
Yeah.
and be
Just be flexible.
again.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if Black plays here, theoretically White can tenuki again, and after this, jump
Just
again
jump.
here.
Yeah.
So what's Black doing actually?
Yeah,
Also-
spending a lot of moves.
Yeah. So remember when there is this shoulder hit and jump situation that happens very often, you should rarely actually just extend, because if the opponent answers, it is similar.
Yeah.
You could argue that this is not the greatest exchange, but there is often the risk that the opponent doesn't need to answer anymore. So this is naturally a shape where you want to tenuki a bit more.
Right.
And that's also what I did in the game, and now I activated these stones.
Right.
And later in this game, again, we come to a situation. So I took care of these stones, and then we're here. So I made some exchanges at the bottom. Black got the bottom side, which is about 20 points. And now again, there is the question, should I tenuki? It is actually weird to consider this here, because White has just moved the stones and has started to create a group, so he should take care of it, right?
Yeah, feels like it. But
of course, there's always a
yeah.
How can Black actually attack this group if White plays somewhere else? Black can play here, but then White can still move out. So it is not so easy for Black to attack this group. And if he really wants to, I mean, after this, if White tenukis again, Black needs maybe 3 moves to actually capture these stones.
Yeah.
And then he gets a bit more than 20 points more again. So the whole bottom is like 40 points, but White got 3 moves, and even now he has Sente. So this is also something you should consider. Can I give the group up? Can I give up the group? Yeah. And in this case, I believe it was possible. So that's why I chose, after this one, which is definitely a maybe situation. You can easily, adding a move is not bad. It is probably even right. But I wanted to work against my opponent here and make the game more wide and more interesting. That's what I like to do. I like to focus on the big areas.
Right.
So
Black N8 is also maybe a bit timid, better from K8 direction.
Yes, K8 direction. So Black has to think a bit wider if he wants to attack.
Right, yeah.
Like,
think big.
Also, there's that peep, so he can actually try to peep here. And if White connects, then go like this. And then like White is already more heavy. But like this, White is actually still relatively light.
Yeah.
So this happened in the game, and my opponent actually played this N8. So now, as I already mentioned, I tenukied again. I didn't really, I could play another move now.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like it, because there are still big moves, especially this move, which I played, works for those stones. and it kind of starts attacking the black stones at g14.
Yeah.
So, and then later again we come to this game. Black played he played another here, this jump.
Yeah.
And as the chat already mentioned, black should think a bit wider, a bit broader. If I were black, I will maybe play a move like this one even though it is risky. Now you really start. If white now doesn't reply, black will really swallow it all.
Yes, yes.
So white has to start moving. But if he just plays some jump that is so small, then you shouldn't
go ahead.
answer. Yeah, please take them, and I will take my big move around here.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is about this game. So this is an example on how to treat stones lightly. If the opponent wants to capture them in a relatively small scale, then you can just accept it.
Yeah.
So this is another situation of my game with Jeff that we played.
Who won? The previous game?
What?
Chat is asking who won the previous game.
This previous game, well, I wouldn't show it if I didn't want it.
Right.
No, I won this game. Yeah, but at this point, white is slightly ahead only. These kind of judgments that I made, they're options, and my opponent made some mistake with playing L8 and N8 a bit too pessimistic. He could have been broader, right?
Yeah.
But like this, I managed to make the game interesting, but I have like 60% on lila only. That's the problem. Like you cannot really, if you play like this, you won't really get a big lead, but you will get a small lead from time to time, and that's how I usually actually play.
Yeah.
So we have this situation here. White has the market group, and black has the huge influence at the bottom.
Right.
So it seems like we definitely want to play here for the group, because group goes first. It is in the influence of the opponent. But even here, we should consider. I definitely consider to tenuki here, because to me this shimari is always something big.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I would like to ask the chat, how would you attack me here?
Yeah, doesn't look like easy job.
Because it is actually white. Like white has some space towards here. He has some space here and towards the center. So there are two directions where white can make some living, and at the top maybe white can make an eye.
Yeah.
So white will definitely not die if he tenukis here, but it is more about a question on, is it worth it to tenuki?
Group seems hard to attack meaningfully, was my first thought. Yeah.
That is
a good thought.
That's what I thought as well first, but then I was afraid that, or I was not really afraid. I just know that even though there is no clear first move on how to attack, it is just natural that black will definitely benefit from this attack.
Yeah. Yeah, with this kind of influence, it's scary.
Yeah, because every move that black plays around here, even if it is such a weird move like this, if white answers, the bottom becomes huge. Imagine this kind of stuff, right? The center is already very, very big.
If you add a
So
move there, is the cut like around Q7, P7? Is that like something that you consider? Like,
yes, actually yes. This is something. This was one of the reasons why I answered, actually,
right.
because there is this cut. So maybe black can exchange something like this, but there still is a cut existing. So when I defend, I always try to see some offensive part about it. And so we rarely want to purely defend, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if I defend here, I can imagine, well, I will not really cut with my next move, but I can maybe reduce the center easily because there is this cut existing.
True. Yeah.
So if I get another move here, maybe black has to answer, or I can get the peep,
Yeah.
or any move around here will already start threatening this cut.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right. It's good that you mentioned it. So yeah, this is a situation where you should definitely not tenuki, even though it seems like it is not so clear whether opponent can attack, but you can try. There will be many people that don't know how to attack this, but on this group
Yeah.
it is just too easy. You don't have to even play anything
Yeah,
special.
you can just throw stone. Yeah. Yeah.
Just throw some stone and it will already have a value.
Yeah.
And because the center and the bottom is so wide, if you imagine that white has a very strong group here, then you can do this because black doesn't really know where he will get the points after the attack.
Yeah.
So like this you can consider, now I will just run with the group and it is fine.
Right.
So and black's only profit is maybe some points on the right. So this is this situation. You always have to consider, if I leave a weak group that can be attacked, what will be the consequences? What can black make as a profit? And if it is such a huge influence at the bottom, you should definitely answer.
Right.
So I guess, is this this has been actually the last situation, I think, and we're almost done. I think I had one more thing, one more situation. So
Like
this is
like Apple keynote. It's just one more thing. Interesting.
so this, let's see, what's this? This is that game. Yeah, this is another situation I wanted to talk about in the opening. This kind of tenuki shape, for example. Here, rarely people will play another move here. My opponent did it, which was very surprising to me. If you have such a group, this is a group in the opening that you can easily think of giving up. If white really wants to attack like this, then you can even play tenuki again, and if white plays again, you play somewhere else.
Yeah.
And now you can still live with it, even though it is ugly. But now you tenuki again, and the opponent gets this. But he spent so many moves, right?
Yeah.
So
Antti had like one nice like mind trick for these kind of things. Like, if you wouldn't have those black stones there, would white actually play that on that area? It's not that big, so it's just 4 extra stones there. Like if you spend like so many moves to get that space, and you didn't even get it yet, like how big are the moves that you're actually playing there?
So this is definitely a group that I suggest the viewers to start maybe ignoring, especially in the opening. The opening is the field where tenuki is the most considerable all the time. Like,
Yeah.
even my opponent plays here, okay, I don't like all these weird sun variations, so, well, you can just try to tenuki here and then make this kind of a move. Even though it might not be perfect, it makes the game more interesting, in case you were wondering recently why everybody always plays the same variations. So this is a way you can make the game much more interesting, and that is something that I do all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this was all the examples I had, and
Quite
yeah.
nicely, the 1 hour 15 minutes what
Yeah.
we were preparing. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was well, lucky. I didn't really expect this. I didn't rehearse the time here.
Right.
Yeah, but guys, remember that tenuki is always considerable, but you should think about, can I tenuki? What will happen if I don't? What will happen if I tenuki? Is there anything crucial that can directly happen? Then you should answer. And if there is nothing clear, then it is a question. Well, maybe I can tenuki, maybe I can answer, but if I tenuki, I should be careful on the consequences. So you can have a flexible mind with tenuki, but you also have to be very cautious about it. It is something that even the great masters have to still learn, I believe. And yeah, this is basically everything I want to suggest.
Yeah. And if you tenuki and get destroyed, at least you learned something. Yes.
So please send me your games where you played some weird tenukis that you wouldn't have done earlier, and I will tell you if I believe it was good or not.
Yeah.
There's always something I'm happy to do.
Yeah. So that concludes the lecture, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check out the NGD. I don't have the links at the moment, but I'm sure like people will link it to chat now. And yeah, when is the next lecture? Do we know already?
Well, usually there is one lecture every 2 weeks.
Right. So we would expect that to happen like on 25th of July, I guess.
And it is usually on Saturday, 12 a.m. or 1 p.m. in Helsinki time. I don't live there. I live in Germany. So yeah. Yeah, and make sure to check them out and play your games on NGD.
Yeah, and follow the channel if you haven't, so you get the notification when the next lecture is on. And also there's the YouTube where you can see the like previous lectures. And if you are follow on YouTube or subscribe on YouTube. It's weird because in Twitch subscribe is like not free, but yeah. And then if you are NGD member, check out also the like Discord. I believe like someone will link you the Discord if you didn't get it in the mail, because some of the people registered already before the like Discord was created. So in case you are one of those, ask the link from someone. You can see the Discord link now on the Nordic Code, also the website also. Okay, yeah, good. So that's somewhere you want to be like between the lectures and everything to like talk about stuff. It's quite active now, and check out the Nordic Code also website also, because Antti and others are like posting very valuable stuff there, very interesting stuff there. I guess Antti got like some honorary rating in Reddit also about the articles or something like that. I heard, but yeah, very good stuff. And we will see you in 2 weeks. It is going to be like I guess Lucas is going to hold the lecture, so I'm not going to be there, but yeah. And yeah, that's it for today, I guess. Do you have anything to add?
No. Thanks for watching and do your tsumegos.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.